And he asked me one question, and that's literally that's what changed everything. He asked me if I could do anything. There's no limitations, not money, not time, not capacity, nothing. What would I do? And the first thing that I said was plastic surgery.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the She Just Got Going podcast, a podcast about career advice and entrepreneurship. Today I am joined by Alisha Lombard, the owner of The Face Aesthetics. And yeah, Alisha's had a very crazy and wild journey leading up until now.
Yeah.
And we're just going to talk about your journey and, you know, how everything has come into being. Because I think it's really awesome, your story, and now, you know, doing what you are very good at, which we will get into. But yeah, so Alisha, you pretty much now, you know, own a business where you specialize in doing treatment. Forgive me if I don't mention all the treatments, because there are a lot. But like chemical peels, you know, microblading, aesthetics basically.
Yes.
And but you actually started off studying industrial engineering at Tugs. So yeah, that is the story we're going to get into. So walk me through pretty much through that journey.
Okay, so I actually started with chemical engineering.
Okay.
Yeah. And then because, you know, at school you think about what you should do after school, and you know all of that everyone goes through. And you go for the aptitude tests, and they tell you, okay, you're good at math and chemistry, and then you go for the best, Because I wasn't gonna, I don't know if it's a personality trait or whatever, but I wasn't gonna do anything that's below the best I can do with maths and science.
Okay, wow.
So that's why I decided to do chemical engineering. I did not know what chemical engineering was. Aptitude tests are great and all of that, but I think I maybe just did the wrong ones. So I studied chemical engineering, failed everything. It was horrible. And then halfway through my second year, I decided, okay, I can't do this anymore. But also somewhere during my second year, I was sitting in a leaders meeting at church, and God told me, like, I know playing the God card is rough, but
I mean it, like,
there's nothing else that I've ever been so sure of in my life than having to start a business. So that's all I got. Yeah. I didn't get anything.
You know what it was?
Not get
just
anything else.
A business.
Exactly. But it was like burning here. I can't explain it to you.
It was actually the same with the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I really wanted to just be like, listen, this is a lot of effort, a lot of money. Let someone else do it. And literally every single church service when Pastor was preaching, it just burned more and more. And I was like, this is something I have to do. Then when I did it, and when it actually like got going, then I had that peace again. So I know exactly what you mean about that feeling that like doesn't go away until you do what you need to do.
Because you know. But anyway, so I was sitting, and then I obviously didn't know what to do with it. But it never left me. So I wasn't something that, you know, a lot of the times you would hear a sermon where revive the dreams and all of that. It wasn't there. It wasn't dead. I mean, how many years later only, and the thing wasn't dead, it was still, anyway. So it really wasn't a dead dream. That dream, it was sitting there the whole time. So that's why I then decided to move over to industrial engineering.
Okay.
Half of it, I think, was a bit of a pride thing of like, I'm not now going to tell people I'm not studying engineering anymore. You know, it's fine to move over. And then the industrial side is where the business side came in. Yes. And I was happy with that. It's like, it's fine to tell people that it's fine. So I moved over. It was smooth sailing with the actual moving over process, but the degree wasn't. It wasn't funny. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. And I'm running a business, and engineering was much more intense for me because I know that it really actually wasn't purpose.
That is what I was about to ask you, because it's going to be like, sometimes for some people, like, granted, it's a challenging degree. Engineering in general is a challenging degree, but you get some people that have such a grace for it that even though it's a challenge, they still manage to excel in it with their hard work. But then you get people that are in it like you said, where it's not a purpose thing,
Listen.
you're not meant to be there, and it's even 10 times more difficult than what it already is.
Exactly.
And so...
Yeah, and the motivation wasn't there either, because now you're sitting with something that you really don't like, and you thought it was maths and science, and it's not. It's all of these. I think in the whole engineering degree, there might have been 2 modules that I liked. No, it was rough. I was, what do you call it if you're not allowed to study anymore? Excluded, right?
Yeah.
I was excluded twice. No, 3 times. I think it was 3 times.
Wow.
You're only allowed to be excluded from the specific degree for different years.
Oh,
so
wow.
you can be excluded after your first year, second year, third year. Obviously, like
At least
after
they
a
give you
while.
chance,
After a while, they're me like, what are you doing, my
And
girl?
so funny, like this one time I asked someone, how's engineering going? She's like, great, it's like the best 6 years of your life. I was like...
The average is 6.2 years, hey?
Yeah.
That's the average. It's a 4-year degree. The average is 6.2 years. But anyway, okay, so I was excluded then my first year. Then I got back into the degree. I got accepted again. The thing is, I can't explain it to you, but I always had peace that I was never gonna not finish it. I didn't, for one moment, in the beginning of that second year when I had to reapply, I didn't have one sleepless night. I did not stress about it because it was almost like I knew I was going to finish it.
Yeah.
So that didn't bother me. And the thing with what I said now about it not being in purpose, it doesn't mean that God can't like turn it around for good. Obviously, we must just keep that into account. Because many times when I tell people that it wasn't in purpose, they're like, but God changes. I'm like, yes, he did. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
But I can't take away from the fact that I don't think I should have studied that. I don't have another thing. I can't tell you now, yes, I should have done nursing or whatever. I can't.
But it's such a part of the process, really.
Exactly.
Because I mean, I'm very impressed if people matriculate, go straight into university, they know exactly what they want to study, they graduate,
like
and it's still confirmed that it's exactly what they want to study. It's a very small percentage. And I think like so many of us treat it like so unnatural to now get into the middle of your degree and doubt whether it's the degree for you. And I don't blame us, because it's almost like, but I had a plan, now what?
Exactly.
But again, like to your point, so with the whole studying it, even though you knew now it was not for you, you still got things from that experience that were very valuable for where you were now. And so I think
100%.
nothing gets counted in vain.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like the whole character building situation that you're in, it's a good one. Listen. But anyway, so then beginning of my second year, I just had so much peace about this. Doors were shut in my face. I can't explain to you. So I had to go speak to certain people to I don't know exactly what you call it, but reapply, and then for them to readmit me and all of that. And people are just like, listen, I don't even know what to tell you. And that happened again in my second year. It happened again. But then I still had first year modules from the industrial. So then I was excluded for the same year twice. And then you're done, hey? You're not allowed to finish then. It's, So it's like, listen, that's what it is. Same story. I didn't have one like bit of stress. I can't explain it to you. It's just,
you just knew it would
peace.
Work itself
It's
out.
peace, and I just knew I was gonna finish. So that whole situation went on. Then obviously I was gonna study 5 years, because now I added a year with the chemical. Okay. At the end of the 5 years, no, I think it was in the middle of the 5 years, I failed a module because my computer crashed. And they were like, what are we supposed to do? We don't know what you wrote down, and we can't let you redo it. So, I mean, from their side, I do understand, but it wasn't supposed to happen. And it was rough for me, because now I was going to have to study a whole extra year for one module. So I was going to do a whole year, one module, nothing else. Now I know I have to start a business, but I still don't have any other direction. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm not the type of person that can do something that I don't love. I can't, I don't have that level of motivation. Some people can do it, but I cannot. So I tutored, and because I like teaching is also, it's one of the things I really like. But that also got to me after a while. And now I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have a whole year with one module. I'm not going to do any other job. I'm not going to do anything in engineering. We have to do, in engineering, we have those practical 6 weeks and 6 weeks. So in total, it's 12 weeks practical. Listen, I hated every moment of it. But so I had a whole year to figure out what to do with my life. Yeah. And that's where God really intervened. So I randomly, by accident, rocked up in who's now my mentor's house. I was actually there for his wife.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't even there. I didn't even know this man.
Yeah.
And then he sat down by the table and he asked me, his wife said something like, listen, Alisha wants to go into business, speak to her. And she left. I'm like, listen.
That's very funny.
And I still called him Wim because he was a Wim for me, you know? And I'm
for
like,
everyone who doesn't know what a Wim is, so,
also.
Because this is South African, so it's like an uncle. It's like our sign of respect of like not just calling an elderly person by their name.
Yeah, I mean, he was more than 20 years older than me. So for me, he was going to be Wim.
Yeah.
And she left and I'm like, what are you doing? And he asked me one question, and that's literally that's what changed everything. He asked me if I could do anything. There's no limitations, not money, not time, not capacity, nothing. What would I do? And the first thing that I said was plastic surgery. And to this day, I don't know where that came from. Because I've never look on my aptitude tests and whatever. They told me that I can do medicine.
Yes.
But I don't have mercy. I don't like helping people. I'm not
helping people in that way. Because you definitely do help people, gain confidence through the kind of treatments.
Yeah, but that's still not why I do what I do. It's
I like pretty things.
No, for me, it's like I want to help you help yourself. Because I do not like helping people. I know it's a very controversial thing to say, but I don't like helping people. I want to help people to help themselves. Because then it's that whole story. Let me tell you the story. Okay. Just so for the people who don't know. So if you give someone a fish, they fed for a day. But if you teach someone how to fish, they fed for their whole lives. So that's actually where I feel like my heart is at empowering people instead of helping you, because I can only get to so many people. I'm limited if I have to personally help you. You can't build a massive business like that. Then it's a very personal business, but that's not where I'm at. So for me the helping and the medicine, I don't know, it didn't sit right, but it was the plastic surgery side of it that got to me, and I was very confused by it. And the more I started thinking about it, the more I realized that I've always been inclined to this industry, the aesthetics industry, always. My sister used to say that my bathroom looked like a homeopath. Right? Homeopathic.
We'll find out what that is and put the
So it's all of the natural, because I used to have essential oils and mix them and put them in my hair and stuff like that since I was very young. And it kind of all started making sense. I dyed my own hair, and I dyed my own hair pink and purple and blue, and I loved it. It broke off, I had to cut it off, but I enjoyed the process. So it actually, at the end of the day, it kind of started to make sense, all of it. So then I was like, you know what, I'm not going to make another 6-year mistake, I'm going to do my research. So I did brain profiles, I did personality tests, I did everything that I could do. And then my mentor also sent me to a professor.
Okay. Is this now the lady you were showing up to? Did her husband now become your mentor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He wasn't my mentor then.
No, that's why I'm just following up.
We had a few meetings because he does that as well. He's very much in consulting and all of that.
Okay.
Yes. So that's 100% his gifting, and then he sent me to this professor, and I did the whole thing. But yes, it was amazing. I would give his number to anyone.
The sad thing is that should be in schools.
Exactly.
Because we get the testing in schools, but like you said, like the test wasn't.
So I was there from like 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. I was there for the whole day. He did 10 tests with me. He didn't just look at, that's the whole thing. He didn't just look at what I'm good at. Yeah. He looked at my personality. He also looked at what I like. He looked at everything. He studied theology. He studied psychology. He studied, this man is...
The list goes on.
Listen, I can't even explain to you. And I didn't tell him anything except I'm studying engineering. Yeah. That's all I said. He sits in front of me with pink papers. I don't know why he does pink, but he sits in front of me with pink papers and he's looking at me and he's like, listen, for you to be fulfilled, you have to be an entrepreneur in the medical aesthetics industry. I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, Muni Ailni, don't cry. The whole way home, I'm like, no, I need to become a doctor. So overwhelmed.
I'm just imagining the scene.
Listen,
that drive home.
I literally said I was not going to make another 6-year mistake.
Yeah.
And then medicine is a 6-year course. Now I'm sitting there in front of my mom. I'm like, listen, I have to become a doctor. And she's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Anyway, did the whole thing. Eventually my mentor became my mentor. We worked through all of it. And then we realized, I realized with him obviously helping me and all of that I'm not supposed to now go study medicine, but I'm going to work with doctors. Okay. Because I think I just got so overwhelmed and I was like, that's the only way to be in the medical aesthetics field because we are not informed. I mean, knowledge is power, but we don't know. Yeah. Who teaches you all the different fields that you can be in without being a doctor in the medical field? They don't. Yeah. So I'm not in the medical field yet, but that's where I'm working towards.
Yeah, but you get all your, insight. You work with medical doctors to pretty much put together the program.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, how
did you get that right, actually? So how did you actually build a network?
Half of what happened in the last few years, I literally cannot explain. Yeah. And that's how amazing God has just been throughout the whole process. It's literally been supernatural. I'm like, it's been someone that told me about something and then it happened. Yeah. So, and then I decided to start the business. And it was a challenge, but that's basically how it happened. And it was in the middle of COVID, the first year of COVID, the beginning of that year is when I did all of the tests and whatever, and then COVID started in March. And now I can't just sit and do nothing. So I did a bunch of online courses throughout.
When did you graduate? Disclaimer, she graduated. Oh, she finished.
I did. I finished. I finished. It was then that year, after the first year of COVID, 2020. Okay. So that was the year that I finished, 6 years later, I have an industrial engineering degree for who knows why. But anyway, so that's how that went. And I started the business then. I think I registered it in March, just before COVID hit. Did a bunch of online courses, easier courses, and then I actually only I know that I launched in September of 2020. So it hasn't even been 2 years yet. It's been an amazing journey. So that's how we got to that.
What a journey. But so I'm going to ask you, the 2 questions that I ask every single person on the podcast. And those 2 questions is pretty much, what was one piece of advice you would go back and give younger Alisha before you started the aesthetics business? If you feel like you want to apply to engineering, you can, but it's mostly the topics are for the entrepreneurship side. Yeah. So, what was one piece of advice you would go back and give yourself before you started? And then also, what was one of your biggest fears, that you had before you started, that you've overcome, and how you overcame that? Not to put a focus or an emphasis on fear, but to show that we can overcome our fears. And they're not as scary as they seem in the beginning. So,
Okay, so I'm going to start with the fear one. With the fear, I would say, like I said, it didn't manifest as fear for me. I think my biggest challenge was pride. 100% it was pride, but I did not realize that it was pride. Obviously, do we ever? But anyway, so for me, it was a thing of, I enjoyed saying I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that so much because people never believed me. For some reason, if at varsity, people would always be like, no man, you doing teaching or something like that. They I don't know why, but they did not believe that I would. I don't know if I don't come across as an engineer. I'm definitely not the typical.
I said it. But I think all the other engineering guys are also like, listen, there's a handful of girls in their class, let alone girls that look like this. So maybe that's where the assumption came from.
Yeah, so for me it was a massive thing to always, because yes, I was using it. I was milking that thing. And then now having to go from I'm an engineer to I do eyebrows.
Yeah.
That was rough for me. That was so hectic. Not because of the fact that doing eyebrows is bad or, but just the whole, what are people gonna say? Because people asked me throughout my whole degree, have you stopped yet? Have you given up yet? I was asked that a few times. And now I'm like, well, I didn't stop. I finished it, but I stopped.
Yeah, and like you sort of proved them
exactly.
Right.
So that was, for me, it was a massive thing. And at the end of the day, I realized it wasn't a them issue. It was a me issue. Because what's wrong with doing eyebrows?
You own your own business.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. But for me, I think it was because this was before I did any of the courses.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I could do was wax and tint. So
you got to start somewhere.
I looked down on that day. Yeah. Looking back now, I realize how intense it actually is, because you have like 5 new people that you see every day and you have to speak to them. It's very draining to work with people in that setting compared to over emails. Now you would think engineering would be a lot more, hard work and all of that, but it's not. I can't tell you that I would have worked more if I wasn't an engineering job working for a company. I can't tell you that, because there's some days that I'm doing admin until 11 at night. So I actually saw this TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. I watch Reels. I'm a grown-up.
Or the TikToks that get transferred to Reels.
Yes, that's what grown-ups do.
That's what grown-ups do.
So I saw one where the girl literally said that I didn't want to have a 9 to 5. So I started my own business. Now I have it 24/7. So I'm like, literally.
There it is.
So I looked down on this industry a lot because I felt like I'm not using my brain, which is...
Can I just tell you, because I have these moments during the podcast where you're probably the second person now that felt like they weren't stimulated mentally in what they were doing. And I get it, when it comes to what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life, there must be some sort of mental challenge to it. But the amount of people that I guess end up shocked by what actually becomes purpose is not what you would have pieced together in the beginning. Because we all think, what's purpose is gonna, require everything of me physically, mentally, but we think a different kind of mentally.
Yes.
Obviously it still requires a lot of your your thinking, but I just had a moment where I'm kind of why do we all think like this? Why do we all...
It's so hectic, because now you go from what you think is mentally stimulating is maths and science. I was so stuck on maths and science because I felt that is the ultimate. That's the most...
as stimulating as it gets.
I mean, the Elon Musks, it's all maths and science. And it's not true, because now I have to dream something up. Something that doesn't exist. I have to dream it up. That's a lot. It's not just, it's from nowhere. It's a vision that you build from, obviously it's God-given, but it's from nothing. So it's a whole different ball game. Now, my goal with this whole business is not to stay and do what I'm doing now. I am busy with product development. So once again, here I'm in the medical side of it again, working with chemists to develop my own products.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very exciting process.
Very exciting.
This is like the dream for this business, because the other thing is I also know that I have to build more than one business. Still not sure what the rest are.
Yeah.
But it's okay, we'll get there. But this business, I know that the dream is to do the product. So everything's in place and it's just timing now. And that I 100% trust in God for it. So then you go into that again. So it's a whole different ball game with your mental capacity, emotional capacity. Listen, people have real problems, and then they lie in front of me and they're telling me about the things, and it's not necessarily the issues that they have, but things that they are dealing with purpose. That's my biggest thing. I generally don't have conversations with people about their problems, because I know in this industry it is a thing. I don't, and I think people also know that they mustn't speak to me about this. I'll tell them to go to a psychologist or someone. Go for some counseling. I have a number. I'm connected, and it's very important. They can go. But that's not my thing. The conversations that I have with people is much more about purpose. It has to do with purpose. That's literally where I'm at. Like, do you actually love what you do? Can you see yourself here? Or is this a stepping stone? You don't have to love it if you know it's a stepping stone, but your heart must be in it.
But you're kind of like almost redeeming your story in a sense by being that person and that voice in other people's lives, where you're not going to entertain the problems that they're stuck in. You're going to be that one person that actually gets them thinking about what they want to do for the rest of their life. And you would think we've thought about that, but sometimes you have to have that conversation with yourself a couple of times until it's like, wait, I need to change the trajectory of this now and actually walk in my purpose. And so it's so awesome that you're intentional about that through your business as well.
I must catch myself with it sometimes, because it becomes a routine, and then I must be like, okay, spirit-led. So that's actually and that's actually where the second part comes in with the question that you asked. If there's one piece of advice that I could give myself, it's literally purpose above everything. Because the thing is, you can run in a direction and it's not going to do anything for you. The Bible says that that pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, it's in 3 John now, it says that your outside will prosper once your inside, as your soul prospers. So as your soul prospers, everything you do is for character building. Because what we need to do throughout our lives, we need to shape our characters to get to that place. And we all want to achieve greatness. Everyone has this dream, but not everyone wants to be in the fire.
But I think the misconception, again, so many misconceptions we have, sometimes the greatness is who you become and not what you do.
Exactly. Because that's when God can use you. You can't be used outside of your character that's built. Something that my mentor told me is that God can't rest the blessing on your shoulders if you can't carry it yet. So you can't expect all of the success, all of the fame, the fortune. Look, it's gonna come if you do it right. It's part of the blessing. God won't keep it away from you, but
He loves you too much to do that prematurely,
because it's gonna burn you.
Because it's a lot uglier when you can't handle it.
That's the thing. So all of it is purging, all of it is character building, and that's definitely been the hardest for me. The hardest part for me.
English. I'm kidding.
I'm not English, okay? That's definitely been the hardest part for me, is the character building. At the end of the day, I don't feel like I've worked so hard now. I don't. Regardless of the admin till 11. Regardless of that, I never feel drained to a point where I'm like, I work so hard. I work hard, but I don't feel it.
Did you have those feelings in engineering?
100%. I worked with no reward. Nothing. So with this, I'm working and I'm not feeling it. That's that whole thing of be still and know that I'm God. Still is not shut up, be quiet.
That's not.
It's you being in rest and you like quieting your wants, your needs, and then moving into what God wants for your life. Because that is like the character building. I can't explain to you the amount of shaping that I've had to go through and things that I never thought that I would have to work on. Now, I thought it was personality traits. It's not. It was a character flaw. Simple things. And I think as soon as you go into that and you dissect it and you actually want to fix those things, then you'll get to it. God will show you. He will show you what you need to fix. He will show you where you need to work, on what you need to work. He's not going to just leave you. You're not going to sit here with questions and he's not going to answer you.
But you have to be humble enough and intentional enough.
And you can
to go before him and say.
You must be able to hear it from people as well.
Yeah.
People that you trust. People in authority positions. People that, I'm not talking about just anyone. I'm talking about people that you really, that have your best intentions at heart. Spirit-led people. Those kind of things. You must be able to hear it from them. And it's hard. It's rough to hear.
But you need to get those people in your life. Because, you know, like you said, it's... I mean, there's so much packed in that alone.
It's a whole different
podcast episode. But finding people that you can listen to, and not you can listen to because of your own views of who you're able to listen to, but people you can submit under because they've probably gone where you want to go. They've been there before. Like you said, they're spiritually led as well. And so also selecting the type of people that have that right to speak into your life. Because again, like we can say, our parents do have our best interest at heart.
But there's emotions. You have a whole emotional aspect when it's someone that close to you. No, but the thing is, yes, listen to people. I'm 100% for it, but still God's voice comes first. And 100%. You can't do this without seeking first the kingdom. You cannot. That's literally it. Seek first the kingdom and all its righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. It's the same thing as your soul prospers, everything else will prosper. Because the rest is added. It's not something that we have to worry about. And the thing is, the other thing that I would tell myself is, don't open doors that God didn't show you or God didn't open for you, because then what's on the other side of that door is your responsibility. If God opened it, he will carry it. Then it's not in your hands. So, for example, with the products that I'm creating, it was a dream that he gave me, okay? So now I'm pursuing it. It's a lot of money. It's capital that, I don't necessarily have, but he opened the door, so he will sustain it. If I now go and create supplements that he never told me to, he's not gonna give me the money.
And it's not a thing of like, no, he's not going to give me the money, but it kind of then defeats the point of like this whole relationship we have with him. Because I mean, think we always make like this disconnect, like it's us and it's God, and who's this God that would make decisions like that? Think of a personal relationship. Or let me rather use a parent relationship, because that's actually what I'm thinking of mentally. So your parents, you have this relationship where they take care of you, where if they tell you to go do something, they will take care of it. If they now tell you to go to the store in normal, hopefully like in ideal circumstances, if they tell you to go to the store, they normally give you the cash to go to the store and get what they want you to get. And it's very much like that with our relationship with God. So it's almost a slap in the face when like you go to the store on your own accord and it's like, listen, I spent XYZ on this, now pay me the money.
Yes.
We would feel very disrespected in that kind of situation. And so that's kind of like how it is with God. Before people think like, why would God just decide when he can give? And he's not that kind of father. He's such a loving father. And it's always with our best interest at heart. But to your point, we need to come to the party as well. And pretty much be like, God, you have to be first and you have to lead this, and I won't move until you've told me to.
So the way I see that is he will always sustain you because there's grace. So if you did make a wrong decision, he's not going to leave you. He's going to sustain you, but it's never going to be over and above because it wasn't a God decision. Does that make more sense to what I'm trying to say?
Hopefully it's clear.
But I really do believe that if we do kingdom business and godly business, we work on a different
kind of grace.
But we work on a different set of rules as well. So if you do worldly business, 10 steps to success will work. Because it's basic 10 steps to success.
Yeah.
But if you in a kingdom business, 10 steps to success might not work because maybe step 3, your character wasn't there. So now you are putting yourself in the fire and you are saying to God, use me, mold me, shape me, and then he's stopping at step 3, but you want to go on to step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but you haven't worked through step 3. You have something missing. You have something that you need to build for him to use you at step 4, 5, 6, and whatever. That's really how I feel about it, and I've seen it in my business. I've seen how I can't really explain what he did many times, and that's the supernatural. If it wasn't me, I have no words. I mean, Jesus told the disciples to go catch a fish and pay the taxes from that. So he was in the tax system. He wasn't saying, you know what, stuff the system. We're not gonna, because we're godly, we're not gonna work in the world system. That's not what he said. He said, go catch a fish, take the bronze coin from its mouth, and pay our taxes with that. So you will have the provision for the system, because we're in this world but we're not of this world. So I mean, you will have the provision. He will make a way where there seems to be no way, without sounding cliche. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I would tell myself, is just that purpose above everything, and seek his face, and be okay with being in the fire. Be okay with it. Because he's in the fire.
Embrace it.
He's in the fire.
Yeah.
Sleep in the storm. Don't freak out in the storm.
Yeah.
It's not a thing of, yes, it's an authority thing of speaking to the storm and all of that, but you must be so okay and so dependent on God that you can sleep with Jesus in the storm. When he's sleeping, you must be able to sleep as well. He's sleeping in the storm, why can't I?
But I mean, I think like you even learned that a lot earlier, because you were talking a lot earlier in your engineering degree about just having this piece that you were going to finish. But I agree so much, because the second you learn that again, I've always had to remind myself this as well. Worrying will change nothing. If anything, it takes away from the grace that is sufficient for today. Because it's also a scripture that says actually tomorrow has its own problems already for you to worry about. And so why now actually take on tomorrow's burdens and add them to today, because the grace for today is sufficient. And so I always like daily have to remind myself, it's like, why am I stressing? There is sufficient grace for today. If I don't believe that, then I need to go back and fix that. Because you can't live or walk this journey out like being scared all the time or doubting God all the time. And people are there. So that's a thing. It's a thing. So no, I just think that you can read your business books and all of that. It's gonna help you. I mean, knowledge is power. I haven't read them. They're there for show.
It's fine, Alisha. So knowledge is power, and I do agree with that, but you can't do that if you don't read your Bible. There's no point in it. Because God will literally, if you get to a point where you really truly hear his voice, he will tell you what to do. And I'm still working on that. He tells me what to do, but sometimes I don't listen. Or sometimes my voice is too loud and I don't hear him. Or I'm too busy with the world or my phone or social media or whatever, trying to watch YouTube videos on how to... What was it the other day? It was something stupid, man. Something like how to control your thoughts. Something like that. And then I was like, battlefield of the mind... Let's quickly go watch a few TED Talks. That's not it. That's not where we're at. Why do we trust the world systems? You can learn from them, you can implement it, but at the end of the day, we must go to the source, eh? So, I think it sounds very cliche.
It really does.
Like, God above everything.
No,
but it's true.
I think it becomes cliche because you get so many people that say it and don't live by it, and then it loses its weight.
Fair.
But it's always had its weight, whether we follow that or not. And the second we click and we go back and follow principle, you see it play out in your life.
And the thing is, it's not black and white, eh?
It isn't.
You can't, it's not, there's a right and a wrong. There is right and wrong in certain things, but if you go deeper, there's a big grey area. There's a big gray area where something for you might be true, but something it isn't true for me. That's why it's so important to seek his face for yourself. Build that relationship for yourself, because my gray area and your gray area is not the same. Simple example, a tattoo for me might not be wrong, but for you it might be wrong. There's a reason for it. What was the intention behind it? I know it's a very simple example, but it boils down to little things like that. So yeah, spirit-led.
That's the piece of advice.
I'm done.
That you dropped the mic. That's the piece of advice. And I always say, like, you know, there are definitely people that will listen to this or watch this and be a little confused by the things we're saying if you know, they're not Christian. But I think there's still so many valuable things, you know, that have been said that they can take from that. But what I also like to encourage people with is I say, you know, we respect everyone's values and views here, but if you've maybe, you know, never even heard of a relationship with God, or, you know, you were maybe Christian at a time, but you've got such a sour taste in your mouth from just an experience that you had, and it happens, like, it happens more often than you think. I always encourage people to go back to a place of being open-minded and trying again. Because, you know, for all of us, God has not forsaken us. God has not left us, and that counts for something, because we're not special, we're not his favorites. And so if, you know, someone has been in that position where they need to go back to a place where they can trust God again, try again. Find a community, you know, that can help you grow in your faith, that can support you through the highs, through the lows. I mean, you met your mentor as well through I met my mentor through the church system as well. So I keep talking about this whole mentorship through community thing, because it's true for us. It won't be true for everyone else, but I've seen the gravity of it. I've seen the gravity of my church community in my life, and that's something I can't help but not emphasize on in the chat, because some people may really sit and feel like, what am I doing wrong? Why are things not working for me? Or maybe I would really like to have a community that they're talking about like that. And you can. You really can. And so I slip it in there to say, like, you know, you can reach out to us on our social media platforms. You know, I'm always open for that discussion of connecting people to a community. I mean, even in this, we're trying to create a community as well, of people that are cheering each other on and supporting each other and showing each other, again, like if God has told you to do it, that community that then pushes you and reminds you, listen, see that through. And so what I wanted to say was, reach out, whether it's in the comments, whether it's on social media, on the pages, you can, because at the end of the day, I've seen just what an important role it plays, not just in my life, but literally in everyone's life that I've had on the podcast. So Alisha, I want to thank you so much for your time today, for sharing your story, and you know, for everything that you've said. I definitely learned a lot during this chat. Nuggets of wisdom that you dropped that I needed to hear, bombs that I needed to hear again, that I'm sure a lot of people needed to hear again. And I just wanted to say that I'm so excited to see what you have in store in the future and how it plays out. That's super incredible. And then I hope people that, you know, are interested in what you have to offer follow along on your journey, and, you know, with what you're busy doing. Because I'll drop the thing there again.
My handle.
Put it there again. But so thank you so much for that. That is pretty much the end of the episode today. I enjoyed it so much, and I just wanted to say thank you again. And guys, again, if you want to catch the previous episodes, you know where to find them on the YouTube channel. They're also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And follow along with these journeys. I hope you're learning as much from these sessions as, I've been learning. And we'll catch you next time. Okay, we're done.